My gratitude to all of you for joining us today. And as usual, today is a Swadyaya in English. We'll be doing Living with the Himalayan Masters. Last week, we managed to cover only three portions. So this week, I am going to cover the one that I missed. So hopefully, and one thing I would like to tell about this book is as it goes along, it is very, very interesting. And Swami Rama, I don't see him as what do you call, when we see a saint, you always try to put them in a pedestal. Oh, these people are the best, they never do wrong. But when you read Swami Rama's book, it's like any normal being who have gone through all kind of mischievous things, and he was tested and he tests people, all those things were happening. So last week we were talking about yoga and Judaism. Okay, so this week Judaism, he talks about Judaism in yoga. So during his life, he went for a what do you call it? Baha'i 3-day conference in Pune. Okay, Baha'i is a relatively new religion. It is a combination of all the other religions. That's what the Wikipedia is telling. Okay, so there he meets two Indian Jewish rabbi. Okay, do you know that there's a huge, a small community of Jews in India, and it seems that Jews all over the world, they're persecuted. That means they were not treated as equal. But India, they have the same citizenship, and they are really treated very well, it seems. So when he was talking to these people, the rabbi, and he found out that Kabbalah and what is the thing he's telling? Yoga. He talks about Kabbalah and yoga. He said very similar, and he said the ancient philosophy of Sankhya is the basis of the yoga, and it's the philosophy of Kabbalah. And he says both of them have the same source. According to Kabbalism, life is associated with numbers. He said Sankhya also associated with number. And he said these two religions are the oldest religion, and they have some kind of similarity in them. So, and what he says, he said, the Baha'i temple and religion accept and emphasize this fact in its monogram and its literature. And he talks about Sri Yantra. This is actually Sri Yantra. Can you all see? Okay, let me put it properly. Okay, Sri Yantra. And all this while, I thought Sri Yantra belonged to the Hindus. Actually, it's not. It's a multi-religious thing. I just found this out. It's a multi-religious thing. What he says about Sri Yantra? Sri Yantra is the evolved ancient yoga process for enlightenment, centers on the Star of David. This is the Star of David. Can you see the Star of David? Okay, you can see that. But here, the multiple Star of David. If you can see it separately, the Star of David, And it is also known as the Hana Chakra in yoga literature. Can you all see? Hana Chakra in the yoga literature. And yes, the Sacred Heart in Christian practices. And Sri Yantra was most probably known to the ancient of the Temple of Solomon. So you see how many religion has ownership to the Sri Yantra. Yeah. According to the spiritual literature of the ancient, it is a very sacred yoga process. It helps one to establish its relationship with other beings, the universe, and its creator. Wonderful, right? So that's about Sri Yantra. And you know what it says or not? So Swami Rama says religion is actually a social science which helps to maintain culture and tradition. Okay, this I would like to emphasize more. And religion is actually something that is dividing people now. People are saying my religion is better than your religion. Okay, and you are not, and all those things. So but religion has divided people. So now is spirituality. That is the reason, you see, most of the enlightened masters are not talking about religion. They are not telling, I'm Christian, I am Hindu, I am Muslim. They are talking about spirituality. And here, what Swami Rama says, that all the religious readers must get together and talk about, the similarity that they have in each religion. And I think in the PSSM, that's what we are doing. We are actually learning about the similarities in all the good things about all the religion. We talk about Bible, we learn about Al-Quran, all the ancient religion we are learning, and we are taking the core spiritual truth. And if you look at it, all the truths are the same, but the paths are different. That's what Swami Rama is saying. Okay, the next one is I belong to none but God. So this is a very interesting story. So Swami Rama came to know a sage who was living near a river, but the river is nearer to a town. And he said, what kind of sage is this? He is not living near in Himalaya, but he is living in closer to the city. But he, as usual, you go to all the saints, he wants to go and learn from them, right? So he goes there. And here, his impression of him is, he said, it cannot be a genuine sage to live in the banks of a small river, which is associated to the city. So when he was going to the place, about 4 miles before he reaches the sage, the saint sent him food. But he didn't think much of it. He said, even when I know some people are coming, I will do that kind of preparation. So when he goes and see the saint actually, and the saint tells him, you are late, I'm actually going to vacate my body tomorrow. So he says, why don't you wait for a few days? And I said, no, I have to go. So this saint is actually, he's a guy who is well known in the area. The Muslim saw him as a Muslim saint. The Christian saw him as a Christian. The Hindus saw him as a Hindu saint. So the next day, what happened? He vacated his body, and all these religious people came around and then they started fighting for the body. The Hindu said, I want to cremate the body and make a monument. The Muslim said, no, we want to take him to our mosque and bury him there. And then the Christian said, no, we want to take to our church and bury in the cemetery. There was a lot of argument was going on, And this Swami Rama said, what kind of saint is he? Even in death, he's giving us so much problem. Why didn't he leave me in peace? Because the magistrate came and asked him, you know this guy, you give a solution. He said, I don't know. I have no solution for this, So you have to decide. So there was argument was going on and on and on. After 4 hours, what happened was the saint got up. He came back to life. He said, enough of you people are very foolish. I do not belong to anybody. He said, no, you all get out from this place. Get out from this place. Chase everybody out. And then he told the Swami Rama, I'll be with you for 3 days. On the 3rd day, I will vacate my body. So during that time, Swami Rama said he had a very interesting day with him. He enjoyed that time. And there's one thing we always teach, He says, be authentic. Meaning, be that which you really are. Don't pretend to be what you are not. That is what Pradeep's master is teaching us now. Be authentic, be yourself. Never pretend to be anybody else. That is a part of enlightenment, right? And he said the great sages never identified themselves with one particular religion or sect. He said they are above such discrimination. They belong to the whole of humanity. That's what Swami Rama says. So with that, I passed over to the next person, Master Rajesh. To you, Ma.
Okay, hi, thank you, Akka. Very interesting, actually. And my humble pronounce to Pitamaha Patriji and Swarnamala Patriji and all the masters here. So my chapter here today starts with divine protection. That's a very straightforward chapter. What it actually says is the self-surrender is the highest and easiest method of enlightenment. So one who has surrendered himself or herself is always protected by the divine power. We have always heard, right? So once sometimes you don't have any choice, you have ultimate surrender. That's when you're actually protected by divine power. So that's the chapter. So in protecting arms, so this carries on with the next chapter. It's about protecting arms. So, as you know, Swami Rama, he likes to visit many places. So he likes to go to many calm and quiet places in the Himalayas, in the lap of Himalayas, where one can live and meditate without being disturbed. So one of the favorite places he goes for a retreat is a district called Garhwal. It's 12 miles in the north, and it's like 6,500 feet. There's a small Shiva temple surrounded by thick fir trees. So in that particular place, the unique is in that region, they eat corn, and then nobody actually eats the corn without actually offering to the deity in the temple. That's a belief. So if some, according to them, if anyone by mistake, they do not actually do the offering, they feel that the house all starts shaking or people start acting in a funny way. So Swami Rama couldn't believe this. He thought maybe this is some kind of myth. People created that some kind of myth. So he thought it's not a reality, but he decided that he wanted to go there and see for himself. So actually, he was traveling along edge of a cliff, because this was 6,500 feet high, and he was wearing his wooden sandals. At one point, he slipped and he was on the verge of falling. Suddenly, a man with a rope, a white rope, actually caught him and saved him. So it was about 7 o'clock, I think, at night. So this tall man brought him through a footpath and then came to a cottage near the temple. And then the man was following him at the back. So when he turned, the man went missing. So the man with the long rope went missing, white rope. So, and he was trying to look for the man. Finally, the sadhu in the cottage came out, and he said he heard about it, and he welcomed Swami Rama. And Swami Rama mentioned to him that this old man saved him, but he's missing now. So, and then that man actually wept, the sadhu in the temple, in the cottage, he wept. He said many years ago, actually, the same thing happened to him, and this same old man saved that sadhu, and he's now living in the cottage. So the next morning, Swami Rama, he couldn't believe it. He still went around the area. He saw the cliff where he almost slipped. And it was like really such a steep cliff. He thought that if he actually fell, he wouldn't be alive. So he was grateful that he was saved by this man. So he stayed with the sadhu, and he used to go there. And there's a temple, and then in the temple, the Shiva temple, the unique thing, a lady used to, like, every day she will travel 3 miles, walk in the evening to light the lamp in the temple, and in the next morning she will come back to put off. To put off the lamp. She'll do that on a daily basis. So after a few years, Sri Rama went away from the place. He realized that the Brahmins in that area, they wanted to actually modify the temple. So what they did, the contractors started to do some work. When they started digging the ground, first time they dug the ground, there were a lot of colorful snakes appearing. So they thought, what is it? So the second day, they started digging again, more snakes. So they started putting the snakes aside and they started digging. Every day they dig, there were more and more snakes. And then this old lady who comes to light the lamp, they said they shouldn't do anything to the area. But then they didn't hear her advice. They continued digging. On the 8th day, they couldn't dig it because there were so many snakes. So finally, on the 8th day, the engineer had a dream. So he had a dream that the sadhu came and told him that actually they're not supposed to do anything with the temple, And another thing that I miss is they also started to dig the Siva Lingam. They wanted to shift it, but they were digging 8 feet. They couldn't shift the Siva Lingam at all. So then the engineer had a dream, and in his dream, the sadhu came and told him, "You're not supposed to shift the temple and leave it alone." So what they did is they left the temple alone. What they did is they just restored it according to the normal area. So this is what happened, and it was believed that the sadhu 600 years ago lived in that particular area. And that's how this thing became like, it was very spiritual, very high vibration. So this is a story that he narrated where actually happened. They couldn't actually do anything to the temple. So another story is a similar experience as well, lost in the land of Devas. So as you know, Swami Rama, he likes to go and travel, right? So he was going to Mount Kailas. We all have heard, right? Not everybody, I think nobody can actually go to the peak of Mount Kailas, because apparently if they go, they don't actually return back. So he heard about a village called Nangach. So he had a strong desire to go and visit the place. And many pilgrims have heard of the place, but it's very rare that actually people reach the place. So that and he understood there's a small spiritual community who lives there, and they can only come out, I think, for 8 months of the year. Nobody can enter the place, and these people just survive with some potatoes and barley in that area. And then they got like, they have like the, what they said is the community is made of Indian, Tibetan, and Nepalese sadhus. So these people live there, and no, and they are actually very happy in that area. So he decided to go there, and he went there with 4 other renunciates in order to visit the village. But when they went there, they actually, when they reached to one area, they lost their way. And it was in the month of July, but there was snows melting in the Himalayas mountain. And during this season, sometimes you have glaciers moving, and then the glaciers will crash down. And several days they could not, their ways were blocked. So the 4 renunciates, they are actually like they were very upset with Swami Rama. He said why they had to put them through this kind of situation. And he said, they actually told him, you should have known better. You are from the mountains, you have misguided us. Now we have got no food, the path is blocked, and it's very cold, and we will be dying here. But then Swami Rama, he made it like a joke. He said, we are not ordinary worldly people, right? We are renunciates, so we should die happily. For him, he said, okay, fine, if we are going to die, we should die happily. But they were actually, they could not understand his humor. So they said, we don't want to die, we want to see you die first. Because they were quite upset that, and he was joking. And so they said actually humor is actually a important quality to cultivate. So and then he was saying that, they lost the way again. Suddenly, after 2 days, they saw a man with a long beard, wearing a white robe, carrying a lantern. So this man actually then finally led them to a village, and in the village they got some food and shelter and all that. And then they were made to understand that, the villagers say that this is common. They can see this kind of devas. These stories is like not uncommon, where the people, sometimes who are lost in Himalayas, sometimes they are directed to a certain direction where they get food and shelter. So these are all unique cases. So he spent the night there, but all the 4 renunciates, they decided they're not going to follow him. So they went back. So he continued his journey. And then he said that, he lived in a camp of lamas at the foot of Mount Kailas. So he said he really traveled with some of the herd of the sheep, and he actually, talked to them about all the experiences. And they said that in that kind of area, they see a lot of what they call it devas, who live actually between both the known and unknown side of life. They live in a different phase, but sometimes they appear physically as well. So this is what they have seen. So what is trying to say, in scientifically, you can only see physical sciences. That means physical science has got limitation, but you can only see like gross levels of matter, body, and brain. But apart from that, the spiritual science goes beyond that they cannot actually explain further. So this is narration, some of his stories, how he actually went to Himalayas and Mount Kailas. So with that, I think I will hand.
Thank you, Rajesh. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay, I missed out one point. So after third day, what happened was the sadhu, the saint will go into the river and he will do a jala samadhi. You all know what's a jala samadhi, isn't it? He'll merge with
Sorry?
the water.
Oh, okay.
Merge with the water. So nobody can find his body and nobody will fight over his body.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's in fact, I wanted to ask you that.
That
What
was the
happened
ending.
after
I
the
completely
3rd day?
forgot.
Oh,
Okay.
so that means nobody have to fight over his body.
Yes. So
Okay.
that's why the sadhu belongs to the whole of humanity.
Ah, okay.
Thank
Great.
you, Rajesh. Then we'll pass over to Shasi Rekha. Are you here?
Okay, my humble gratitude Mrs. Master Rajesh, Rajesh is really interesting. Okay, my chapter is the land of Hamsas. Okay, actually the story begin with Sri Rama went to Gangotri. Gangotri is one of the place. He felt it's very like very interesting place because they in this chapter they're telling about the how they experience the place. Okay, they normally there are some of the like yogis will stay there. They have a social distance. They not prefer to communicate, or they don't have they don't like to interact each other. They will live in their place. And what happened, he also spent his full winter he stay there. He feel so happy because he used to read the scripture. He learned a lot of yogas. So he was then what happened, he saw one day, he knew one yogis was staying there. Then what happened was at 12 o'clock at night, he heard something like blast, bomb blast. So he thought something, he thought the yogi, his name is Krishna Ashram. You suppose you should pass away because the bomb blast, something like that. So actually this yogis is very well known. So then he went there and he see the he go and see the yogi. What happened? He just smiling, nothing happened to him. Smiling, and he write in the slate and he said, nothing can harm me. I have to live for a long time. My cave is protected. So he was so surprised because at the side of his place all already burned, like the tree also already burned, but only his cave is safe. So the next day he went to visit him. He saw him like his face, his eyes was glowing like a fire, a bowl of fire, and then his skin was very thick, like elephant, because he already 80 years, but still like so strong. Normally, those yogis won't wear anything, and he's surprised how he didn't wear any coat or anything. Also, he can live like that, and he just eat a potato once, potato and bread only eat that only. So you will come and share, ask a lot of questions. So you will write in a slate and about some herbs, scriptures, and all this. Okay, this is the experience we had in the this chapter. Okay, the second chapter is an atheistic Swami. Okay, in this chapter, he didn't tell the name, but he said this yogi also very well knowledgeable person. He read a lot of books. He know everything. No one can argue with him. So Sri Rama was so very excited with him. He just want to friend with him. And then this yogi surprised, he tell to Sri Rama, why no one want to come and learn with me? So he say, because you something you spoil their faith and belief. That's why no one want to come to you. So what happened? He said he already wore that if I believe God, I will become his discipline, one of his discipline. So what happened? He just pray. Sri Rama was taught, I must try to make him believe in God. So what happened? He said, okay, one day he just asked, do you want to come to Himalaya? One day I bring you. Then he bring to Himalaya. Then he just, okay, because this yogi just think about logic and everything, he won't believe on God. So he bring him to Himalaya, and then what happened? It was very cold, but Sri Rama know how to control his through his breath, and he know the technique to control the cold. But this yogi already old, but he feels so shivering. And then they already go until 15 feet, 20 feet, 15,000 or 20,000 feet high. And then they just have one tent only, one tent. And then they stay there, but day by day the snow come up until first was 1 feet only, then it already 4 feet. So the yogis say, I already like cannot breathe, I cannot get my proper breath. Then what happened? Sri Rama say whether we will die or we pray to God, only got two option only. So at last the yogi say, okay, I pray to God. But so Sri Rama say, if you pray to God, in 5 minutes, there will be a sunrise and the snow will stop. He say like that. So he also quite scared also whether this thing will happen or not. But if the yogi just follow his thing, the same thing happened. Snow just rise and the snow already stopped, and the yogi was so surprised. Then he put a vow again, he won't talk anything. And whenever people come to him, he just tell about God, just the tears only coming. So in this thing, we can learn that they are beyond us. There's something beyond us. We cannot learn about that by our logic. That's the thing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderfully done. Very, very slow, steady, and calm today.
Yeah, and very interesting.
Yes.
Great narration, Master Sashi.
Yes, very interesting. Thank you, Ma. Then we'll pass over to the last person, that is Pathma. Over to you, Ma.
Thank you, Thila. Thank you, Shashirika ji. You did an excellent job, and everyone else as well. Okay, I think first time in our session, I've got a lot of time here, being in the last, participant sharer lah. Okay, here, my chapters, what I'm going to cover, it's few interesting chapters, which I could, particularly in this, an appointment with death, I could very much relate to it. Okay, first I'll talk about the Swami Rama story. Then, if time permits, I try to connect with my personal experience. Okay, so how Swami Rama starts this story? He says actually the first part of this story when he was 7 years old, and it ended when he was 28 years old. So when he was 7 years old, his family members, they called upon this very renowned astrologers, pandits, to their house to do the, to write the, what they say, the Jatagam, Ayul Jatagam, or in Hindi they say Kundali, right? Kundali, and to write a Panjangam, that Ayul Jatagam for Swami Rama. It's very common in among Hindus, right, to do that. When a child is born, they will do that. Name the child upon the this charts. And since young, I have this question, Like even I used to question, name is so lame based on what you named me. And two things she said, well, you should be grateful that I named you Padma, otherwise you would be Parvati, my grandmother's name. So I had to she had to fight with my father and named me Padma. So in either way, I still find both names still lame, but it's okay. So I always question what is the significance of these planets and a person's birth since young. But now I'm thinking that, you know, they are few miles, 100 miles, light years away, and yet they have the influence on our life. And I don't know, I call it a belief or superstition. Nah? I'm not going to go there. It's all personal belief. So the Swami Rama's family members, what they did, they call upon this astrologist to write this chart, this birth chart, mainly. And why we humans do this kind of a prediction or Ayul Jadagam? Because we human always have fear of the unknown, of our future, right? That's why we are very much in fear of death, because death is unknown. It's, we don't know what happened beyond. We want to predict things as much as possible to show that things are in our control. So when they write this astrology, I think few of them, they start to do all the calculation and everything, and they said, okay, this boy will die when he's 28 years old. It's not something that any parents or any relative want to listen, you know. So that's why I think all the astrologers, first they will tell you all the beautiful things, you know, as if you'll get every good thing in your life. So people are telling certain things that true, because even what Swami Rama said, yes, there are some people who's fake, but they are very rare cases, genuine ones. So when they predicted this, that young child was actually eavesdropping, you know, was just trying to listen what this adult, it's my life, you know, I'm supposed to know what they are predicting. So when he knew that at the age of 28 he's going to die, even at that young age, he feels like my life is too short, you know, I'm not supposed to die at this age. And he fell into depression and he was crying, and that's when his master came and consoled him. He's like, why are you crying, boy? And then the master, the Swami Rama is like, I'm going to die. Eventually everybody going to die. Say that, it hurts, isn't it? So the master is like, okay, who told you that? He said, all these people, you know, these people, these astrologers and everybody, my family, and they gathered, they do one calculation and they predicted my death date. And then the Swami, his guru, he said, come. And he brought them to the astrologist doing the calculation and everything. And then he said, okay, you people see, this boy is not going to die at the age of 28. And these people, he's going to die at the age of 28. We can give you the exact date and time. Then he's like, okay, if like that, he will live a long life. You know, as a guru, he's giving his promise. This boy going to live a long life. All of you going to die before him. And if at all he's going to face death at that predicted time, I will give my own years, remaining years to him. And they said, you know, definitely how much attachment, love we have for others. We can't share, top up or our remaining life to anyone. No, but for that master, you know, the guru, he is able to do it. First, I was like, why? When I was reading this, I had this question: has a realized master, why is he interfering in Swami Rama's life? He's not supposed to do that. And moreover, when it comes to death, but yeah, something is to learn there. First, I will tell about the first. The second, when when Swami Rama faces death, why the Swami said if he can take my remaining years, he will not die at that predicted time, because for that Swami, death is nothing. It's a very, very normal occurrence of every living being. And for him, this body, I'm dying, I'm just going to shed off this body and going to get another birth, or for possibly his guru, there is no more. because he's a very realized awakened master. So for him, death never bothers him. Even the remaining life, I don't think he would even want to live for, because those years, Ayul, life length for him, it's immaterial. So he said, okay, I will give my remaining years to him. Okay, so that's the story. And he consoled Swami Rama. He said, you know what, this prediction is wrong, but don't worry, one fateful day you will have to face this death face to face, but you will not die. You will not die. You will be fine. Okay, that is the first part. The second part, when he was 28 years old, his guru sent him to Rishikesh, in a Rishikesh to a mountain peak. It's about 11,000 feet high up, and to do worship Durga Puja. So to worship Divine Mother. So our Swami Rama, he has to climb up every day, and then go. There is a small temple for him to do the puja. So for him, is climbing mountain is nothing like for us. Like we are climbing stairs daily. So it has become his daily routine. So one day he was so happy and contented. No one was around. He's like, I'm the king, Nani Raja, Nana Mandri, kind of, that he feel like I'm the Lord himself. He was so happy, singing and walking, alone beside the steep cliff. And he said, near the temple, there is a lot of pine trees. So if you know the pine tree, the pine leaf is right. So he stepped on this pine, dry pine needle leaf, and he slipped and he started to fall. It's up there, 11,000 feet up, and he's tumbling down. And he thought, okay, that's it. I'm gone. My time has come, because he's plummeted down to around 5,000 feet, and his body is caught between this like a thorn bush, like we see in Tamil movies, all when they are just rolling down, suddenly they caught, the body caught between something, either it's a big stone or rock or bush. So he caught in the bush, and a branch stabbed his abdomen. So he said his head was hanging down, but his feet was upward, and he's bleeding to death because of that the branch. So when he was facing his death, he has a lot of thoughts. They say your entire life will flash through your eyes, all. So it was happening to him. So that moment he started to call all the gods he knows. You name Buddhism, Judaism, every god he knows, because he learned about all the religion. So at least, if not God from this religion, at least from that religion should come and help me. And nothing happened. So he thought, okay, since no God going to come and help me, now I have to believe in myself. So courage. So what should I do? So for him, when he knows that, I'm going to die, there is no one around here to help me, there is no God to help me, that's when he came to a realization, well, I'm not going to die, because even if death occurs, it's only for this body. I'm soul. I am ever living. So what a fool person I am. All this, my entire life, I've been in this path, and when it comes to death, that's when I have this fear about death and this body conscious, whereas I am the soul. So he came into that realization. And then third, okay, now, Swami Rama always want to tease his guru, right? So now on his last opportunity, okay, let me test my guru. He said, nothing will happen to me, right? Whenever I'm in need, because his guru once advised him, whenever you are in a situation that you know, in a very desperate situation, you call upon me. I will come in one another way. So Swami Rama wanted to test his guru now. Okay, let me try. I'm going to see if my guru comes or not. So he called upon his guru, and actually, so what happened at that moment, he got some help. He got some help in the form of these ladies, these ladies, they, I think the village ladies, they climbed this the same mountain to collect grass for their animals and some roots. So one of them down, and they saw Swami Rama is hanging, caught between this thorn bush, and he's hanging. And she's like, look, look, there is a dead man. And the Swami Rama, he's not dead, and he's not unconscious as well. So he started to think, okay, if they think I'm dead, they will not help me. So I have to do something. So what he did, he started to move his leg. So when they saw that his leg started to move, and they're like, no, no, he's still alive, let's help him. So these ladies are very brave and courageous, because just like Swami Rama, for them, it's a daily routine to climb those mountains. So what they did, they put the rope, they went down, and they carried Swami Rama. And then they brought him up, and but stuck between the bush, the thorn bush, because there is a branch stabbed in his abdomen. So he did it. He broke the branch, and he took out the branch that stabbed his abdomen. So they brought him up. When they brought him up, so they thought, he's a Swami. For him, he should be able to heal himself. So they just left him. And they say, okay, Swami, you find your help. And then the ladies left. And he was over bleeding. So what he did, he just fell and fainted. At that moment, his guru actually appeared. His guru appeared in front of me. And Swami Rama said to him, actually, Swami, my life is over. You brought up me, and now I'm going to die without my realization. But that's when his guru appeared. His guru appeared, and he said, don't worry, nothing is going to happen to you. Don't you remember I told you long time ago that one day you're going to face this death face to face? And that's what happened. And you faced it, done, it's gone, you're fine. So Swami Rama gradually came into his senses, and then his guru brought some herbs and put patches and everything, and brought him to one cave nearby, and asked those people to take care of him. And then after few weeks, Swami Rama got well, and he said the scar is still there. Okay, in this experience, what Swami Rama said, how genuine and selfless gurus are. The masters. And he said, even though the disciple is far away, they are connected. And once they surrender, this is how they come in to their aid. And he said, gurus and disciples relationship is the highest and purest form of all. Okay. The second, this is the ending of the story. And what I want to share about why his guru is interfering with Swami Rama's death is to make Swami Rama come into realization that, like how he got that realization, I'm not this body, I'm the soul. So I'm not going to, even if this body dies, I'm going to live. So if not now, in future, yes, Swami Rama would face his death. It's inevitable. But to bring that realization to Swami Rama, that's why his guru interfered, to teach him a lesson, and the lesson learned. And of course, this about the relationship with master and disciple, it shows that they are connected. We are all one. They say, oneness consciousness. We are all one. We are all interconnected. So that, and when, moreover, he is very much connected with his guru. So that's why when something is happening, the disciple, the Swami, the guru, he got, imagine he's coming there at the right time when Swami Rama needed. So, of course, when you surrender to the divine power, the divine energy, when you are in need, the help will be there. Okay. Now, power of the mind. Okay, power of the mind. What they say is mind, it has, it's a reservoir of numerous powers. Utilizing this hidden power, you can achieve a lot of things in this world. But then this power is pointed one way, which is toward inward, and that's when it can into our own being. And this is the mind. Despite they say control your mind, what they meant is from the outside world toward your inward, and that is the biggest tool, instrument for self-realization. So that is the power of the mind. Okay, lesson on the sense. Okay, Swami Rama, he talks about one Swami. The Swami name is Chakravati. This Swami, before he joined monkhood, this Swami was a mathematician. He said a very great mathematician, and he have written some books about Chakravati's mathematics, something like that. So this, according to Swami Rama, this Swami has a siddhi. Siddhi, it's something like a skill, something has a kind of a supernatural skill that he might have attained through his meditation power. So this siddhi is, he said, when you the mind is focused, it's focused externally towards something, he can actually control or influence anything. So this is, I think, what they call vashikaran, vashiyam, something like that. So vashikaran. So what this Swami said, when we focus something externally, it called gaze. When we focus something internally, it's called concentration. I think this is what I heard Master Pradeep say, but little different. When our eyes are opened and we are focused and concentrated on doing something, it's called being mindful. But when our eyes are closed and we are focused and concentrate on what we do, which is none other than breathing, it's called awareness. So I think maybe this is what they meant. I tried to just connect with what I learned lately. Okay, so this Swami said, this power of focused mind is very, very powerful. It's immense. He said there are few methods of gazing. He said can gaze between these eyebrows, this nose bridge, or when you are in the dark room, you gaze upon a candlelight, or sunrise, the sun or moon. And I would like to share something. Actually, I have done this. Even in the Satya Sai meditation, they have a light meditation, but I never tried that. But I have tried the sun meditation about 10 years ago. I came upon this one Swami from Kerala. His name is Surya Narayanan, and he preaches about the sun's meditation. So what we do, we go to a field, open field, early in the morning when the sun about to rise. And you have to buy a coin, a dollar coin, 10 ringgit. I don't think it's silver, but it's a metal coin. So how we do meditation is we just look at the sun without blinking our eyes with the coin on your between your eyebrows. So you press it hard on your between your eyebrows, and then just look and gaze at the sun however long you can without blinking, and then just actually you can see the sun between your eyebrows. It happens, when you look at the sun or anything, a light for very long, when you close your eyes, you can see that. So maybe it's a way to bring the focus between your eyebrows. So he asked us to focus that lah. And was it effective? Not as much as meditation. It is still at one point of time your eyes will start to burn, so it will bother you a lot. Okay, so that's done. And so he says that this kind of skills must be practiced with a lot of precautions, because it can cause damage to body and our mental. And so one day what this Swami did, this Swami said, okay, I want to show you something. You go to a court, you find somebody who's being persecuted unjustly, means who's being in the court, who's being charged for wrongly charged lah. So he's going to the case, and somebody who's not guilty, and an innocent person who's going under this court procedure. So this Swami Rama, he went back to the court, he met a lawyer, and he happened to find one person who's being actually tried for a case for a offense he did not commit. And so what this Swami Chakravarti did, he might have not seen the judge. He don't know the lawyer. He don't know who's unjustly tried. But he managed to, he said, okay, this person will be free. He will be declared not guilty. You note down what I'm saying. So actually Swami Chakravarti is predicting, not predicting, it's actually delivering the judgment word by word. Means what is about to happen, he's already like scripting what the judgment is going to be. And he told Swami Rama, you go back to the trial and you see the judgment will be word by word what I said. I made 3 mistakes here, you know, commas, 2 commas and 1 stop. Even that will be that how it will be there. And to Swami Rama's amazement, it happened accordingly. So precise, so precise. And Swami Rama said, Swami, you can change the world. You can change everything by just sitting in one place. You can, it's like you're mind. And that Swami said, no, that's not what my intention is. What I just did that to show you, you know, to demonstrate to you how, you know, a man, we can influence other person's mind for a good reason. Means even helping others. But if you ask me, that's also a form of interference. We are you know, using this the power that we've gained to influence others. It's still wrong, on what I believe. Okay, so Swami Rama said, as Swami Rama, we know he always want to acquire this kind of special jibumba skills, right? So he went and asked. The Swami said, okay, I will teach you some form of practices, which I don't think you will do it. Even I tried it, and yes, I obtained this skill, but I stopped it because it's so consuming, time consuming, energy consuming, and it's distracting me from my true purpose. So from there, it's that story is gone. So what this Swami did, this Swami is a mathematician, right? So he taught Swami Rama philosophy of mathematics. The Swami taught Swami Rama how everything in this unit to mathematics. And he said, put one digit 1, okay, number 1, and then every number is the multiplies of this what number 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. 1 plus 2 is 3. You know, he said same. The reality, the absolute reality is 1. And you know, the multiples forms and names and everything is nothing but the manifestation of that 1. And he said, and he even taught him about this triangle, you know, this triangle where angle of body, angle of life, and then angle of world, everything, how it's interconnected. And then he say life is like a wheel, it's 0, wheel, the 0, the wheel represents the 0. And he said everything is you know, the entire universe is, it's came out of a sunya. So Swami Rama, after learning the philosophy, he said, you know, his repulsion toward mathematics, it's gone. And he said very much, it's nothing but Sankhya philosophy also. Even in Sankhya philosophy, everything is about body, mind, and soul. So that's the thing. So one day that Swami left to deep inside Himalayas and met again. And finally, Swami Rama offer his gratitude to all the teachers that taught him his and spend their valuable time in teaching them. So this is the end of lesson on the sense.
Thank you, Pathmaji. Beautifully narrated. Thank you.
Thanks, Pathmaji. Just Master Thila, just to add, I think maybe to add as well that he was mentioning, you know, if you have a 0 and you put the 0 before 1, there's
Yes.
probably that is something that you can mention as well.
Yes, true. I was actually looking at the time. I was like, I need to cover it. Yes. Okay. What Swami Rama said is about the mathematic philosophy and spiritualism. He said, okay, now make a 0 first. Okay. Okay, you make a 0 first and then you put 1. So when you put a number and you put a 0, it has a value. But when you put the 0 in front and you put the digits after the 0, it has no value. So the thing in the world is like 0. So whatever, in everything in our life, all the materialistic, everything is 0. So without that 1, without that, the absolute reality, the one reality, this 0 has no, this 0 has no value. And we have to always know that when it comes to one reality, life is become meaningful only when we are connected with this. Otherwise, it is meaningless. Thank you, Rajesh ji.
Thank you, Pathma. Thank you.